Hi, it's Miles Red Songbird, Miles Red Bird Song in New York City. We're looking at the energy of Michael Bublé shown on his face in this photograph during one of his performances. Michael Bublé says he has happiness. This is in an interview I saw him do. He has a beautiful looking woman who loves him, talking about his wife. What's her name? Luciano Lopalato, some name like that. And so he has a beautiful looking wife who loves him. Heaven Bublé is a beautiful woman who does love you, not who looks like she loves you. Big difference. If a wife loves her singer husband, she wouldn't cringe if he sang to her. She'd melt in ecstasy. Okay? Now let's move right on to Mr. and Mrs. Jesus Christ, Part 7. Okay. The abode of, this is from Part 6. This is the rest of the sentence in Part 6. The abode of the ghosts can do talk and share and remove the layers of misunderstood experiences by the light of sight of real aliving their feelings and emotions and states of mind. And when they become known, they are free to be consciously welcomed by the Lord of the soul. In other words, when all those ghosts in your body, when you become aware of them and know who they are, you can welcome them into your being and stop fighting with them or stop being afraid of them and hiding from them. That is, if you want to keep them. Or you can dismiss them if you don't want them to be a part of you. First comes a statement of intention of desire and belief that they can be achieved. The intentions of desires can be achieved. Then comes the years of toil, of intense, best effort, being kind and gentle to every cell, all 37 trillion cells in your body, until you arrive at the stage of admission where you accept the point that you bought the ticket to that show. You're responsible for all that you've done, in other words. The longer one refuses to own, whether good or bad, their behavior, the more time they have to spend being held in limbo. Present urge at story, purgatory. Present URG, urge, AT at, STORY, story. That's purgatory. Present urge at story. The story you tell yourself. When it's urgent, that's when you can leave limbo, purgatory. When you believe it. So this is limbo decoded. I am for I'm. Michelle Birdsong, talk and share therapist. This is a story I tell myself, which has validity because I was Freud, I was Pearls. And I created talk and share therapy with the saint, Charan Singh, guiding me. I'm telling my will, I'm the will of Miles Red Birdsong, a video creator. I'm sure I have 100 videos by now. I do it all by myself, no editing. I don't know how to edit. Now I can't afford to pay an editor. And I do all the research, and I do the presentation, the talking myself, and the filming myself, holding my smartphone. I'm the will, Michael Bublé's song Spirit. I'm the spirit of Michael Bublé's songs. This is Love, his newest album. Michael Bublé is Adam, and I am Eve. We were the first couple in the world. I'm the will of Mild Red Birdsong Spear. Okay, that's the name of my husband. This is our 37th year. Okay, I'm trying to separate these pages, these stages. When you decide on your story in your heart is when you can leave suspended animation, so-called death, and return to the land of the living when your story is congruent, to come together with is congruent. In agreement or harmony is congruent. So when the parts of your story, the characters in your body, in your story, are congruent, they come together with you. The Lord of the soul, the ruler of the body, is when you can return to the land of the living. Geometry, the congruent regarding geometry. Good girl, God, energy, Eve, oval ordered, M for mild red, me, M-E, try. Try decoded. Okay, this is saying a mild red is a good girl energy, and she tries. Try. True, T for true, her for R, I for Y. True her, I true her. I true her, heaven. I true heaven her. I true female is heaven to her husband and children. Female. Feed energy to male. Cook yummy, nutritious meals. Feed his mind good thoughts about himself. Look your best at all times. Being nude works, especially in bed. Female. Feel energy. Mirror Adam. Will energy. Feel the energy of Adam and mirror him and energize his will. If you mirror him, you'll energize his will because he'll see that he's acceptable and go on and continue to use his will to accomplish, to achieve, to be in this world a productive citizen. Marry the man you can agree with. Marry the man you can honestly respect. If you have doubts, don't marry him. The appearance of the bodies don't have to match. He doesn't have to look like you, and you don't have to look like him. In fact, unless you read energy, don't judge a person by his or her body. Dr. King, Lou Ranzinger, I showed you a picture of Dr. King reborn as Lou Ranzinger, gave us the answer. Judge a man by the content of his character, not by the color, of his skin. And I say, don't judge a man by his size, nor his face, nor his age, nor his money, nor his job, nor his education, nor his income bracket. Is he a good man or a bad man? Batman. You a true woman. Are you a true woman or a fake woman? You can always become a true woman with talk and share practice. true. That's really true. You can find yourself, your true nature, doing talk and share. Proof to use to understand whose you are. My mother looked at me with a tear rolling down her cheek as we sat in his church, and she said to me, I am hurt. I pass my hurt down to you, my mother was saying to me as that tear rolled down her cheek. Because sometimes body language is more truthful than words. I am, said my mother's energy, so ashamed that I slept with a town guard, a married man. I was married too, who was supposed to be, without blame, a perfect lion. He was Daniel in the lion's den, with a red-headed mane. I cannot accept this blame to my daughter, though her mother had done the same. She looked at me crying and let my tears contain my apology and chagrin for never telling you in words that your father, telling you in words who your father is plain. This organization's out of business, right? Trump got them. You were born too light to fit. This is my mother. It's true that she never told me, that I, as Einstein mind, figured out and uncovered in the words. You were born too light, this she told me, to fit my husband's, this part she didn't tell me, name. You naturally outshined any other resident of this town. You were Daniel's only daughter, just as you're the only daughter of the sun in the sky, the sun god. More proof. When you ran away from home at 16 because you had secretly quit that inferior school by white school standards, CHS, Clarksville High School. Your school was Burt High School, Clarksville High School, that a good education was everything, and this world would never accept you stopping your education. In the 11th grade, you had your reasons. You had seen the box of books in the school lobby. Books, old books, meant for the students. Old, outdated books with CHS labels in the back of them. That meant to you, Einstein mind, Sherlock Holmes mind, you were being taught out of outdated information. You were being taught outdated information. Information that was not true anymore. Even then, the ghost of Einstein's mind and the Sherlock Holmes ghost powers of deductive reasoning was in your being. As a scientist, Einstein was a theoretical physicist. You knew the uselessness of information that had been proven to be untrue. Then and there, then in this Burt High School as an institution for imparting knowledge to you that would help you in the world was no longer valid. That is not what Burt High was doing for you. as far as your new findings proved. Also, opinion of teachers had been low. You thought like Burt High School's capability to render you as educated as any other teen was now debunked. The capability of teachers to be morally upright beings was not true, since in second grade, when Miss Atkins, the green-eyed, light-skinned woman teacher with hair that had to be pressed down with a hot comb, who was dating the man you liked, second to Brother Wright, a righteous man, Frank Childs, my former stepfather, who to you had shown that he liked you, meaning to you that you were a likable person. When somebody likes you that you respect, especially when you're a child, and an adult likes you, then you think you're likable. In fact, you think it's essential that adults like you, your parents like you. So you do what is necessary to get the approval of your parents. When my first grade teacher, Mrs. Slay, had me tutor in reading another light-skinned, red-headed, colored first grader, Alice's mother was dark-skinned. She was not married, but alive. But Alice was proof her mother had slept with some white man, where his sperm and Alice's mother's egg joined, conceived her. That was why my mother had not wanted me alive. I was my likeness with my skin color likeness to Reverend Dr. Wilbur Daniel proved that she had slept with somebody else's man by law, and proof that her husband could know somebody's been sleeping in my bed, his bed. But the biggest reason my mother didn't want me alive was because she didn't want to see me, to be reminded that she had been a cheat, a sex cheat, a wife cheat. She had adultery. She had given her husband a daughter who he had not fathered, mild red hair, had not given his DNA, had not sponsored, had not given his genes, not the actual responsibility for. He did not have the actual responsibility for, to legally be responsible for, because he was married to, tied to, she was married to, tied to Kenneth Logan Anderson on paper. Kenneth was supposed to be the only one she tied to, let into the inner sanctum of her house, of her body. Inner sanctum, the most sacred place in a temple or church. The body is a temple of the living God, says the Bible. Let me see if I can get this page turned. Ye are gods, said Jesus to some men. My mother had let another man sneak into her husband's inner sanctum of his temple, her body. Further, this man had co-created life with her and had mild red enter his likeness, his DNA and genes into this new life that was to become part of the world. You see, in other words, the man, the God man, has the responsibility of the person that comes to be a part of the world. It's his responsibility. So when you cheat and put a fake person for him to be responsible to, it's doing him a great disservice, because he got to be responsible to somebody that has nothing to do with him. Doesn't have his DNA, doesn't have his genes, see? So after my husband married me, he said he had made an honest woman of me. This is my first husband, Edwin Birdsong. He meant I would never let another man enter his inner sanctum, as I'd vowed before God to treat our union as Mildred sacred. I had red highlights in my hair when I was a child. The inner sanctum, a private or secret place to which few other people are admitted. Collins English Dictionary. If you refer to someone's inner sanctum, you mean a room which is private and sometimes secret, where they can be quiet and alone, a womb in a lady's body. His bedroom's his inner sanctum. Countable, noun. A sanctum is the holiest place inside a holy building, a womb, such as a temple or a mosque. If a man is a good man, and he and his wife create life, he has a right to say to a killer, an abortionist, you can't come into my inner sanctum. If he married the woman, and you certainly can't kill the baby. This is half my creation. You'll have to kill me, because I'll never let you or anyone else kill half my creation. And the woman has the obligation not to let anyone enter the inner sanctum, the womb, anytime besides the legal owner, the husband. She volunteered the legal rights to co-create with her. So she, Mildred, volunteered the legal rights to co-create with her when she married him. Now, this tradition of consecrating unions is obviously for human beings. You man. Who? H-U is who. Who, you man? Being. Who is your man? Being responsible for the life you create. Is God responsible for the life he created? The sun god has provided light to the world since it began, else it would not exist. Making promises to improve performance to themselves is the heart of self-consecrating. Explanation for students. Self-consecrating means choosing your own rewards and punishments based on your performance. That is what people do unconsciously. That is why you have to pay for what you feel guilty for. Of course, if the DA, the district attorney, the attorney for the district, proves to a jury of your peers, P. Radhasamy, P. R. for Radha, S. for Sami, present energy, Eve, her, add, men, add, to man. Present energy of Eve, her add is the man's add to man. To add energy. Yeah, she adds to a man's energy by giving him children like he. See, so that's, you see, like his energy. Now, if you put another man's energy in your womb, then you're adding that man's energy to your family, not your husband's energy to your family. You see, that's why it's such a big deal to commit adultery and bring some man's baby into the world who is not your husband. Her, add, A-G, add, has, H-A-S, has order over order, so am I. Okay, so that's what she's saying, what I just said, that her order is to give a man a so am I, a child who is so am I, just like him. So ma, turn these letters around, M-A. So ma, I sex, pleasure. I wet, add, dad, you sweat. W, energy, transfer. I owe you, you. I owe you, you. You're talking to your husband. A new you, called the baby. Baba G. It's just like Michael Bublé's wife. Michael Bublé doesn't know that his wife is Pontius Pilate. And so he doesn't realize that the DNA and the genes from his wife is going to be of a Christ killer. And he's Christ. So he's making a baby with his own killer. You see, that's what he said. My people shall be destroyed for lack